It's The Journey with drug and alcohol attorney Mark G. Astor.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of The Journey, and I'm super excited to have as our guest Katie Donovan. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Katie. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. This is
And
great.
it's going to be exciting. Can we still hear everybody? Are we still there, Katie? Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, just checking. All right, so I'm super excited to have you on the show. You have a great journey, and I think the way we got connected is that I think I'd read about you on Facebook, and I said, "Wow, I need to find out more about this lady, Katie Donovan, because it seems like she has a really interesting story to tell, and she's working in the kind of arena that I am, which is trying to help people who are suffering from addiction and mental illness." And I checked out your website, which is a mothersaddictionjourney.com, and I said, "Oh, 100%, I got to speak to this lady." And I know that we connected, and it's an amazing story. It really is.
Thank you.
And so I'm humbled that you would come on and share it with us for a little bit. And I apologize again for being late, but we can blame the South Florida traffic for that. Welcome to Boca at Christmas time.
Right. This is great, and I'm just so honored to be here and be invited and be a part of this.
Great. So, tell us about what a mother's addiction journey is all about, because I know you have a very unique program, and I want you to share it with us.
Thank you. So, it began as a little love nugget that my husband had encouraged me to begin. Katie, why don't you start writing? I think it'd be really healing for you. So I did, but I'd never written.
Let me back up a second, because the on the website, mothersaddictionjourney.com, there's a picture of you and there's a picture of your daughter, right?
Correct.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but what got you to start writing and talking about it and eventually launching the website was your daughter's journey with addiction. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so maybe we can back up a little bit, because, as I am a lawyer, but I always tell people when they ask me what I do, I tell them I spend most of my day speaking to crying mothers on the phone whose children are, in crisis because of addiction and mental illness. So, and you're sort of almost the quintessential mom who went through that journey. And so, maybe we can back up and talk about your story and how you sort of use it to empower not just yourself but other people.
Okay, sure. So my daughter has struggled on and off with addiction for about 10 years. And I was that normal suburban mom, I guess you could say, the PTA mom, the Girl Scout leader. And our home was the house that all the kids came and hung out at. And I had a fabulous corporate career in client relations. And I worked for a semiconductor, and all of my travel was international, and my husband was, I call him my little IT nerd, and we have 2 children and a dog. Pretty normal life. And when my daughter started struggling, I think like so many families, you don't really realize it at first. It was slow but progressive, if that makes sense.
How old was she when you noticed there might be a problem?
She was 17.
Okay, and what was it about what was going on that you made you realize there was an issue?
Well, there had been some depression issues prior to the age of 17, and we got her into therapy and all this kind of thing. But little did I know that one of her psychiatrists had prescribed her Xanax. And this was back in 2008, 2007. I didn't think twice about it. He knows what he's doing, right? We kept it in our home, and it was not locked up, though. I didn't even realize that it needed to be. I distributed it to her every day, and then I noticed that it was going quicker than it should have, the bottle. But then you start to second guess yourself. Well, gosh, maybe I had given her twice to that day, and you, all these things go through your head.
Right. When she was taking the medication, did it seem to help her?
It did. It really did seem to help her, for
Okay.
sure. And then I got a call one day from her school that she hadn't shown up for school. And about 5 minutes later, I got a call from the emergency room that she had flipped her truck and was in the hospital.
Okay.
So I
Wow.
rushed to the hospital, and when I arrived, what I saw was not my daughter. It looked like she was being held down on a gurney by 6 or 7 different types of people, whether it was security, nurses, a combination of people, and she was screaming and spitting and trying to thrash, and she was like a caged animal.
Oh
And
God,
the doctor,
you must have been panic stricken.
I didn't even, right. I was just so, I burst into tears because I thought, what is going on? I thought they did something to her, right? I didn't understand what was happening. And finally, the doctor pulled me aside, and the first thing he said was, "Mom, it's not your fault." I was confused. I don't understand what you mean. He said she had a very high amount of Xanax in her system. It's not your fault. And so fast forward, that has always stuck into my head of I still couldn't grasp, but from then on, we again went into therapy and got all these types of things. And I just saw my daughter slowly slipping away from me.
Right. Was there ever a discussion with the therapist that had prescribed the Xanax about what had gone on, and is this stuff addictive? And the reason I sort of talk about this is because I get so many children who have been prescribed Medicaid. I mean, just like your daughter. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a clinician. I'm not blaming anybody, but I will tell you that 7, 8 out of 10 of these children that I end up, involuntarily committing into treatment have at some point in time dealt with a mental health issue that was medicated. And again, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that's what I
Right.
observe.
Absolutely. It's a real issue. And opiates are taking the forefront of the attention, and rightfully so. Um, but I really think we actually have an addiction epidemic.
Right.
Um, the benzos like Xanax, et cetera, they're not really as paying close attention to than the opiates. And most people that do struggle, it's not just one thing.
Right. Was she
There,
using other things besides the Xanax?
it was not. It
Okay.
was just Xanax at that time. And we did talk with the therapist and the psychiatrist and got her on something else. But then she started dating a boy. Seemed like a really nice kid, good family. He played hockey, and they became pretty close pretty quick, like teenagers in love do, right? Blah blah blah, vomit, and
Been there, done it.
right. But I didn't realize that he had been prescribed Vicodin due to a hockey injury, and along with several others on his team. And so their weekends, they didn't really drink, they didn't really smoke pot, they took Vicodin. And unfortunately, her body loved it. And she started taking more and more and more. And again, during this time period, I was completely unaware that this was even happening.
Right. So no obvious signs to you, I'm presuming.
Not at all.
Was she
Not
still
at
going
all.
to school, eating regularly, doing her normal daily activities?
In the beginning, yes, but then that started declining. She had a really big attitude. At one time, she wanted to always be a part of our family. Family was, we prided on that. We had family night. We did things together continuously, and she started really pulling away from that. And I started chalking it up to, well, she is 18. She's a female. She's emotional. She's got this boyfriend. And then I noticed she started losing weight. Um, I actually remember specifically one time she woke up and was in the bathroom vomiting profusely and was screaming, "Mom, Mom, please come and help me." And I thought, oh my gosh, you have the flu or you have food poisoning. And she said, "Please, can you call into work for me? I'm so sick. I can't make it." I'm like, oh my gosh, I will take care of this. And I called into work, and then I took care of her all day long with the wet washcloth on the forehead and rubbing her back, the whole bit. I didn't realize, actually didn't realize it at that time, that she was experiencing withdrawals from the opiates at that time. But it was uh, it's something that you don't think instantly, my child is addicted, or my child is become dependent, or my child is struggling with this type of thing. I didn't think for 1 second it was pills at all. It never even entered my head. In fact, I remember saying, "Are you smoking pot? Are you smoking pot?" She's like, "No, Mom, I'm not. I'm not."
Right. I mean, the thing with the pills is they're sort of so easy to conceal, you know, and unlike sort of pot, there's no sort of signs, there's no sort of scattered marijuana or papers or little baggies anywhere. You know, you can sort of hide them and nobody even knows. So,
Yes.
or unlike alcohol, where I know kids like to stash the bottles. At some point, they stash so many bottles that
You're gonna find
well,
them.
yeah, they get found, right?
Right.
So, so there must have been a point in time where sort of the light bulb went on, and you're like, my daughter's addicted to the Vicodin too.
No, there wasn't.
No.
There, there wasn't. I looking back, I know there was the signs, but at the moment in that time period, I did not realize that those were signs at all. And eventually, shortly after she was experiencing those withdrawals, she decided that she didn't like our rules at home anymore. And her and the boyfriend were moving out and getting an apartment together. And I was like, no, 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 you got to go to college. This is the plan. And she said, I'm taking a year off and I'm finding me, kind of thing. And my husband was like, oh, I'm so tired of the drama. Let her go then. Fine.
Right.
So,
How was your husband doing? Because one of the things that the families tell me is that, and they call it a family disease. It's just the amount of stress it causes within the family. People, the mums and dads are losing sleep. Sometimes they're not getting along. It affects work. It affects the other siblings.
mhm.
How are things going on? Going on with you and your husband and your other child. I think you have another daughter, right?
I do. They're 12 years apart. Um, and fast forward into a few years into her addiction, where it did progress to heroin, and that is when she confessed to me about 6 months after her leaving and moving out of the house. What was
Okay,
that?
so how did things change in terms of her appearance, the way she was acting, when she
Mhm.
was taking heroin? I mean, was there a noticeable difference?
Completely. So she had asked if I would meet her. She needed to talk with me about something. And this was when she was living in the apartment. And so, of course, so we met at Applebee's. But on the way there, I'm thinking, what does she need to talk with me about? And instantly I thought, oh my God, she's pregnant. And in like point 0.5 seconds, I had her whole life planned in front of, like, how I'm going to tell my husband. Do we have a baby shower? Should we have a baby shower? Like, what is the plan? I had everything laid out. So when I got there, I thought how I react to what she's going to tell me is going to set the course for our relationship going forward. I need to be loving. I need to be accepting and supportive. And um, so when she said, Mom, I think I need to go to rehab. I think I'm addicted to heroin. I was shell shocked
You
because
look you look shell shocked now. I feel like you're sort of having a flashback of how that was.
Mhm. Yes,
Wow. So how long ago was that?
that was 10 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Hmm.
And I
Yes,
can see it's still very, very fresh in your memory.
it is. It is. And because it's been an up and down roller coaster, like so many families. It's not something that you ever expect. And I'll be honest, I'm certainly not a judgmental person whatsoever. I have all kinds of friends and relationships with people from all walks of life. I don't care who you are, as long as you're a good person. I want to be around you. I want to surround myself with good, positive, uplifting people. And but the only experience or exposure that I had with heroin was frankly what I saw on TV or what was portrayed in the movies. And it usually wasn't in a positive light. And I remember talking to my kids, especially my daughter Brittany, about, teaching them to say no to drugs. But I think it was in more of a general term. Just
Yeah,
don't do
wasn't
that.
wasn't that the Nancy Reagan?
Say
She,
no. Right.
yes, just say no. I mean,
Just,
and now that we understand it's a brain disease, we almost laugh at it. And I remember when I was a kid growing up, they'd have a guy with a frying pan, and they'd be like, "This is
I
your
was just
brain.
gonna say that. I actually
This
did
is your
that at
this is your
home.
brain on drugs. Get it?" Apparently, that didn't work either. I mean,
Right.
kids understand, even when they're addicted, they understand what they're doing is not good. And that's the sort of internal struggle that goes on with a lot of kids, which is why I'm a big advocate of sort of the Marchman Act and involuntarily committing people who can't make the decision. But maybe that's another story. But wow,
It's control of their life and their brain. And I know the first time she told me that she tried it, she had come home from work and she felt really, really sick. And her boyfriend said, "You just snort this. You'll feel much better." And she was like, "Oh no, man, I don't do that stuff. I don't do that stuff." And he said, "Really, you're gonna feel okay. I promise you." So she did. She snorted it, and she
wow,
said, and I said, "Britt, what did it feel like? Tell me, because we're very, very open." She said, "Mom, it felt like a warm blanket it wrapped itself around me, and I felt at home." That scared me.
yeah. I mean, I thought she would say something completely different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
It was
crazy.
right. And so fast forward with her disease, as you know, it's a very progressive disease, and you learn as you go along the way. She does, I do. My husband and I certainly fought like cats and dogs because
Yeah, how did he respond? Because I'm not a parent, but I have five nieces, and I think if one of the girls had a boyfriend that got him on heroin, I probably would have had him buried under Giant Stadium, and I would have done it myself. And I say that as a
yeah,
lawyer, I would have killed the kid. So I mean,
that's
I gotta imagine your husband must have been like, "Where is this kid? I'm gonna go over there right now and have a chat with him."
sure. First it was, what the bleep?
Right.
And then I'm gonna go kick his,
You
I
know
don't know,
what?
fan
So
here.
was there ever a discussion with the boyfriend? Was there a discussion with his parents? I mean,
There was both of them kept saying that they needed help. And so we did get them both into treatment at that time at separate locations. And that was the end of their relationship. But my daughter basically said, "I went into my first treatment center with an associate's degree on how to roll a joint, and I came out with a PhD of how to shoot dope."
that's frightening.
Hmm.
So did you get her? You got her into treatment. So I mean, it's been 10 years since she first told you she was had a heroin issue. What's been going on? I mean, in terms of her treatment, her conduct, her use. What's been happening?
Over the past 10 years, she's been in 22 different facilities. She has been in jail twice. She has overdosed. I think we counted the last time was 18 times.
Oh my God.
It is. She's been raped twice. She has crashed because of her disease. 7 cars. It just goes on and on. But during the course of it, I, in the beginning, was not educated. I thought, just stop already, right? I didn't raise you this way. And and she would cry and say, "Mom, I don't know how. I don't want to be this way. Please help me." It was never screw you or stay out of my life. She was always begging for help. She said,
So
"It takes over, Mom. I don't know how to stop it. I don't know how."
so what are your feelings on treatment? Because I mean, a lot of the time when I'm involuntarily committing somebody, most of the time that person has been in and out of treatment, and the family says to me, so tell me why this time is going to be different. And I tell them, I mean, I don't think necessarily the treatment is a miracle, at least maybe initially. I don't think what I do is a miracle, but it really, I guess the answer is it depends, right? Sometimes that miracle takes a little while. Some people get clean right out of the gate. Some people go to 10 treatment centers like your daughter, maybe they go to 20 or whatever it is. And I hate to say it, but every once in a while, we lose a child. We just can't keep them clean. And so, I mean, I don't have an answer as a lawyer, but I know that I don't know how you ever stop trying, with a child, right? I mean, and I say that because, I mean, I'll be 52 in 3.5 weeks, and my mother still thinks I'm a little boy who can't do his own laundry. So, right? So I don't think as a parent you ever stop thinking of your child as your child, however old they get.
That's absolutely right. I know definitely probably the first 5 or 6 years of it, I did everything for her. And so when she got out of treatment, and the bulk of her places were in Michigan in the beginning, there isn't the average length of stay in treatment facilities in Michigan is around 10 days. So how can someone
Not
recover?
happening.
It's not happening. And I did discover out of state facilities where she could have a longer length of stay. And then I also discovered the facilities are not a one size fit all. I never did any kind of research on facilities. I thought they were all going to be amazing and help my daughter. That's it. I also didn't work on myself and my own boundaries because, well, one, I didn't think I had a problem. So my husband started using that word enabler. You just keep enabling her. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. She needs me, right? And I don't mean need me as in to be her support system, as in how is she going to survive if I don't do her laundry? I need to wake her up for work because if she doesn't get up, she's going to lose her job. I would set my own alarm to wake her up. If her clothes uniform wasn't done for work, I would wash it to make sure that everything was set in a pretty little package. I never allowed her to work for it herself. And it was because of my fear. I was afraid, what if she didn't do it? I was afraid, what if she goes to use again? It was all these what ifs.
Do you still have that fear?
I think it's always in the back of your mind. But I know that now, prior, I had based everything on how she was doing. If she was clean, my life was amazing. I was happy. I was singing songs. Everything's great, right? If she was using, I was a miserable wreck. I couldn't get out of bed, gain weight, lose weight. I was crabby to everyone, especially my husband, unfortunately. I became addicted to her. And I remember someone had said to me once, and I will never forget it, that she's not getting better because she doesn't have to. And they were right, because I did it all for her, everything.
Well, because you're a loving mum. I mean, that's what mums do.
And I realized finally, well, damn, I better get some support myself, or I'm gonna lose my own brain, right? I'm gonna lose my family. I'm gonna lose my husband. I'm gonna lose my child. I had to, because and what I've discovered is that strength inside of me, that it's okay to say no. And that strength inside of me also, I have to say this every day, of what kind of a mother am I if I am not teaching her to do these things on her own and allowing her to do those things. My mom didn't do my laundry for me, or I mean, when you're little, but as an adult, or all of these things that I was doing, making the doctor's appointments, etc. You stumble and you struggle on your own, and you just figure it out. It's life.
Right. So you started to mention at the beginning, and I apologize, I sort of cut you off. You said you started to write things down. Was that sort of the beginning of the program that you now run?
Yeah, it was just a crazy fluke. My husband started encouraging me to start writing about the journey with my daughter, and over the years, and the things that have happened, really for no reason but for self-healing. That's it. And so I had never written before. I'd never built a website before, and I thought, how am I going to blog, right? I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm Googling how to blog, and watching YouTube videos on how to build websites by 12-year-old kids in China who know way more than I do. And I stumbled and put this little love nugget together, and I told real stories of what goes on, not all the pretty stuff, the struggles, but as from a parent perspective. And I took a big leap of faith one day, and I threw it up on Facebook. And from what happened from there, I can't even describe. It just kept being shared and shared and shared and shared. And then my website crashed. And I thought, what did I screw up? Because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you told me that when when I spoke to you last week. You said I don't know anything about any of this technology stuff. I just know
No,
that we get a ton of traffic. That's all I know, and I don't even know why because I'm not really promoting the site.
no, I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm doing or what I was doing or still will be doing in the future. Uh, and so all of a sudden I was getting messages after message from families reaching out, moms saying, oh my gosh, finally somebody gets it. Your story is my story. And because I really, really love and believe in loving with healthy boundaries. I don't believe in the tough love of cutting them off completely. I mean, and when I say completely emotionally, you can still love your child, but you love them with boundaries, and those boundaries can change as it goes. And that's, I thought, how am I going to answer all of these families with their questions when all I can base it on is my own experience?
Yeah,
And so,
I'm looking at your website, and I love it. And if it, so, if, when people watch the show, if they go to the about section, which I think is really cool, there's a photograph of you and Brittany. I mean, she's a stunningly beautiful young lady.
you know,
And there's a great photograph of the family. I mean, you look at that photograph and you're like, wow, they're all American family living up in my second home state of Michigan.
right.
People, by the way, people who watch this show have no idea that I went to University of Michigan. I'm very quiet about it. I never talk about it. I say that tongue in cheek, and I was very quiet, especially after the Ohio State game. So there's a couple of things I'm passionate about: my family, my practice of helping people, and Michigan.
Michigan
Not
football.
always in that order, by the way. I'll tell you that. So I looked at your website and I'm like, wow. I mean, just an amazing family. But I want to talk about some of the services you offer because if you look on the services section, there's treatment placement, recovery coaching, family coaching, interventions, sober escort, legal assistance, recovery plans. You're doing speaking engagements. So tell us what you're doing with
Well,
and how people can
those
get
are
a
some
hold of
of
you
the
and
services.
how you can help people because you're obviously helping a ton of people even if you didn't intend to.
And that's what happened, right? It was, and I thought, is this what God is telling me I'm supposed to be doing? And so I did. I took that really big leap of faith and I left my amazing career that I had.
What did you do
And
before?
I did client relations for a semiconductor. They developed the Bluetooth chip,
Okay.
and it's now owned by Qualcomm's, but it was a very very large international company. And I traveled all over. I had a fabulous career, but it didn't mean anything anymore. It was just paying the bills, and this felt like I needed to use that pain to help, and what I've learned to help other people. The primary goal of what I do with this is family coaching. The others are services that I do have team members that assist with, but the bulk of it is family coaching. I feel it's a really big hole that is missing in this industry. And of all the facilities that I've been to, there's probably, or my daughter has been to, there's probably been only been two that have actually truly involved the family in the recovery
I
program.
think that is a huge component. I'll tell you that the treatment centers that I work with down here all do that. They have, a family weekend or a family night or whatever it is, because they realize that the families are in crisis too. And I mean,
Yeah.
and I realized that the first time I sat down with a family whose son actually was actually in the criminal system because by that point his substance abuse disorder and mental health issues had gone way out of control, and he was acting out in all kinds of crazy ways. And I looked at the family, and I honestly thought the father, because I had both parents in my office, I really thought the father was going to strangle the son. I really did. They were so emotionally and physically, they were just exhausted,
Yes.
exhausted.
Yes. Yes. If I would have loved to have had a personal family coach to guide me, not only with my daughter, but with myself. That's the bulk of it, is finding ourselves again. Because whether your child is in recovery or not, I know I'm still Katie. I'm still a wife. I'm still a mother. I still have to go to work. I still have all these things that I have to do. I cannot lose who I am because I was. I can't base how I'm doing on how my child is doing. Am I scared? Am I fearful? Do I worry? Absolutely. That's because you love your kids. That doesn't go away. But there are tools that you can do to make yourself stronger. And ironically, when I became stronger, my daughter became stronger. It was that crazy type of thing. And so there are definitely support groups out there that help in certain ways. But for me personally, I needed one-on-one guidance with a true, I'm like a life coach for addiction, basically.
How many families do you work with at any one time?
Right now I have 6, and I try not to really take on too much more than that because it's not easy. I put my families through a lot of hard work. There's homework, there's goals, we do a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff.
I
But I
love
love
it.
it.
I love it. So, I mean, I don't need to name names unless you want to. But in terms of the treatment centers, are you only working with treatment centers or referring treatment centers up in Michigan, or are you working with any in Florida?
So I try and really base someone's needs, if they're looking for treatment, on that person. So I
Right.
don't.
You're right. Not one size fits all.
Right. And so I don't work for any particular facility at all. There are definitely some that are my favorites that, if they're a good fit, I will refer to. But even my own brother, some of my favorite places is not a good fit for him. He needs to go someplace else, and then I'm going to find him that, right? And any family, I don't care if you no insurance or Medicaid, or you're looking for a dentist that doesn't prescribe opiates. I'm going to find that resource for you. It's not necessarily about treatment. It's meeting every family and every loved one where they're at emotionally, and if that is treatment,
You're a
okay.
saint. You know that. You really are. When I come up to Michigan next time, we're coming to see you and your husband.
I love that. I would love that.
I might have to drag you to the game too, but that's a whole other story.
Right. A big part of my passion as well is I do training programs for emergency room physicians
That's
on
huge.
stigma
Tell me about that.
Yes, it's been phenomenal. They're finally, I think the hospitals and emergency room physicians and staff, they're seeing that I really educate them that you are a medical facility and someone is coming to you for a medical need.
Yep.
And there is such judgment and stigma when they enter in
100%.
they don't want to stay. And the families are left with, oh my God, what do we do? We're given a sheet of paper with some 800 numbers on it. And, 2 hours later, charged. It's been huge, very impactful. I also do a similar program with paramedics.
Is that only in Michigan?
I do it anywhere that someone will take me. I'll do it.
Have you done anything in Florida?
Not on that particular training. No, I haven't.
If you do, call me. I'll come and do it with you.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great.
Yep.
I also do it with law enforcement, fire, EMS, on training to really help and humanize this, and also acknowledging that what they see on an everyday basis, it's got to be horrible. They're seeing people at their absolute worst, in the depths of their disease, and they're not probably the best patients that they would come across. I get that. But look at the person, look at maybe inside, taking that extra 20 minutes to really find out what's going on here. Maybe they have a bad home life situation. Maybe it's not a safe living environment. Just taking that extra time.
Wow.
And then I also help treatment centers create or revamp their current family programs. Just let them know what really works.
I think you found your calling. It's amazing what the direction you get nudged in when you just sit and listen for a minute, which was always my Achilles heel. I just never could sit still long enough to figure out what I was supposed to be doing. So I was in the wilderness for quite a many years. Mm-hmm. So, all right. So look, I want to know, how do people get a hold of you if they want information about what you do, how they contact you, where do they find you?
Thank you. They can go to my website, amothersvictionjourney.com. We have a sign-up sheet, and they can get right into our newsletter database. They can also find us on Facebook, and it's also called The Mother's Addiction Journey. And I also have a private support group on there as well, and it's Chit Chat Through the Chaos, where we keep it very safe, very loving, and there's family coaches embedded right in there that can just guide them on the everyday things. Like, oh, my son didn't come home last night. What do I do? Do I lock the doors? Do I meet, the everyday life situations? And it's not about getting someone into treatment. This is about the family healing.
Wow, I love it. All right, I'm going to give it my contact information. This show that we're doing now is probably going to air a week from this Friday. So I'm going to have my social media team will do a ton of promotion for this. But for the folks that are gonna see this, I know we're going to get probably just a ton of comments. And for the folks, for some reason, if they can't find you online, and I don't know how they won't be able to, but if they don't, they can always reach out to me. Our website's drugandalcoholattorneys.com. They can email me at mark@drugandalcoholattorneys.com, and my phone number 561-419-6095. Katie, do you have a phone number? Do you give out a phone number?
I do.
Yeah, let's give it out.
It's 586-556-2602, and that is my personal cell phone. That is literally right here. That goes off all day long.
Yes,
so
I know how that is.
Please leave me a message, and I will get back with you.
So are you only on, do you have anything on YouTube or anything like that, or Instagram, or?
I'm not, but I've been encouraged to do that. I've also been encouraged actually to start a podcast, and it's something that I need to do, and I want. I love
doing this. It's a great way to spread the love. So for the folks that are going to watch this, we're also on YouTube. We're on Facebook. They can reach me. I'm under Mark G. Astor, also on Facebook. I think we're on Instagram and Twitter. I have a great social media team, and interestingly enough, so my team that does all the work, other than Jay and Deanna, who do all the production of my show, and they do an amazing job. I have a company down here, and I think I hooked you up with the guy, Shea Berman. They're down here, but he actually went to Michigan State University, which I haven't held against him because he's done such a good job for my business. Although at some point, I'm sure, I'm going to have a conversation about that, especially if they beat us in football next year. But he's a great guy, and so we'll promote this. So
thank you.
Don't go anywhere, Katie. I think we're good to go. Jay, are you able to sign us off? All right, guys, we're signing off, and this has been The Journey with Katie Donovan, and I'll see you guys in the next show. Thank you.